Mydei is getting his first rerun, and a lot has changed for Mydei since his debut. New teammates, new synergies, and new builds and playstyles. There's a lot that you should know if you're considering pulling for Mydei in the current day and age, or if you just want to know the best way to play him right now. So here is an updated guide on everything you need to know about Mydei and his teams. But first, a word from the sponsor of today's video. LD Shop is a safe and reliable top-up site that allows you to buy currency across multiple different games, including Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, among other games. They offer prices at a discount, from anywhere up to 13% to 25% cheaper than topping up in-game. Not only are the prices cheaper, but they make topping up completely effortless. All you need is your server and game ID, and you're good to go. No hassle at all, and no personal information required whatsoever. After purchase, you can see that the Jades are sent to my account within 5 minutes. There are no downsides to using LD Shop for your purchases, as the prices on LD Shop are strictly better than the prices in-game. But the upsides don't stop there. Users who register using my link in the description below will get an exclusive 15% and 5% coupon, which can save you up to $50. Additionally, if you spend $80 in total, you can earn an express supply pass for completely free. If you want to top up at discounted prices with no downsides, using a website and method that has been approved as safe by multiple large content creators in the space, then click the link in the description below to head over to LD Shop and start saving money on your gacha game top-ups right away. I won't go into detail on what each of Mydei's abilities do, considering he isn't a new character, but for a brief explanation on his playstyle, Mydei converts any HP he loses into charge, whether it be by getting hit by enemies or draining his own HP with his own skill. He enters an enhanced state upon draining a certain amount of HP, which usually happens effortlessly at the start of battle, and from there, he automatically uses his skill on his turn. You can't even control which enemy he targets. Once he drains a certain amount of HP while already in his enhanced state, he immediately uses an enhanced skill that does even more damage. Mydei's core gameplay loop revolves around losing HP to gain more charge to unleash his enhanced skills. His ultimate helps with this, since it taunts enemies into always attacking Mydei. So, what's changed for Mydei since his release? The most important thing is his team building. On release, Mydei was sort of stuck using other characters' supports, by which I mean the supports he used didn't have anything in their kits that specifically synergized with him. Mydei just used any supports that had generally strong buffs in their kit because that's all he had available. Characters like Sunday and Tribi were his default options due to just being strong individual characters. Sustains like Gallagher and Luocha were the best at keeping him healthy so that he could drain more of his HP for more enhanced skills. But with the release of Cyrene, things have changed drastically for Mydei. Now, he has actual supports who synergize together. First off is the aforementioned Cyrene. Cyrene is arguably the only character who has been made specifically with Mydei in mind, since she has specific buffs for each Crisis Heir. What Cyrene provides for Mydei, aside from her generic damage percent and true damage buffs, is the ability to give him an on-demand enhanced skill whenever her ultimate is ready. If you want to make the best Mydei team possible, Cyrene is definitely the first character you should consider. However, we run into issues with Cyrene being the first consideration, because Cyrene also really wants Hyacinth in order to stack her ultimate more quickly. While Hyacinth struggles to heal Mydei enough for Mydei to get a lot of charge for his enhanced skills, Cyrene makes up for this by giving him enhanced skills on her own. So Hyacinth's synergy with Cyrene makes up for Hyacinth's lack of synergy with Mydei. So, with Cyrene and Hyacinth making up the core of Mydei's current best-in-slot team, the last slot in his teams is somewhat flexible. Since Cyrene incentivizes running full Crisis Heir teams, the default free option is naturally going to be Remembrance Trailblazer. The action advance and buffing is strong for Mydei, but Tribi is also a generic support who works really well due to her synergy with Hyacinth. When you're in AoE scenarios, Tribi is especially going to be really strong due to her personal damage and her ability to spam dance 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 for team-wide action advances. In a way, you could look at it like this. Mydei's best support is Cyrene, and Cyrene's best support is Hyacinth, and Hyacinth's best support is Tribi. It's a well-oiled machine that actually synergizes together, as opposed to Mydei's old teams that didn't really do anything to help each other. What are Sunday, Tribi, and Luocha or Gallagher doing for each other? Nothing, especially when compared to Mydei's new, upgraded teams. There is an alternative to Tribi though, and that is Saridra. While there is a bit of anti-synergy between Mydei and Saridra due to Saridra buffing attack, which Mydei obviously can't utilize since his damage scales off of his HP, Saridra's ability to copy Mydei's enhanced skill is strong enough to make her competitive with Tribi, outclassing Tribi in non-AoE scenarios, since that's where Tribi gets most of her value. While Saridra used to have issues timing her double skill with Mydei's enhanced skill, Cyrene fixes this issue since she allows you to choose when you unleash Mydei's enhanced skill. By lining up Cyrene's on-demand enhanced skill with Saridra's double skill, it allows you to always maximize Saridra and Mydei's synergy. Thus, Mydei's best teams nowadays look something like this. You can view Mydei teams in two different ways: his new teams with Cyrene or his old teams without Cyrene. If you want to know what other supports Mydei can utilize in his non-Cyrene teams, then you're usually looking at some sort of action advance team with Mydei either using Sunday or using one of the usual Sunday replacements, such as Branya, Sparkle, or RMC. And if you need to substitute Tribi, you can use Ron May, but again, all of these teams are a downgrade to his Sunday Sunday tribute team, which is also a downgrade to his newest best in slot team, utilizing Cyrene. So while Mydei does have a few different options, the Cyrene Hyacinth core is by far his strongest. So who's actually the first consideration? Cyrene or Hyacinth? Who should you pull first for Mydei? Cyrene is technically the stronger upgrade for Mydei, and while she will struggle to get her ultimate in a timely manner without Hyacinth, unless you go sustainless, as long as you're fine with not zero cycling, I still think she's his biggest upgrade. The problem is that Hyacinth's current banner will end before Cyrene's banner, since Cyrene's banner will last for the entire version. Additionally, Cyrene is more likely to get her first rerun before Hyacinth gets a second rerun, unless Hoyo decides to be very mean with withholding Cyrene's rerun. This is part of the reason why I wanted to release the updated Mydei guide during Hyacinth's banner, to give advice on what order I think you should prioritize your pulls in order to upgrade your Mydei team or prepare for the best Mydei team possible. So again, while the biggest upgrade for Mydei will be Cyrene herself, since Hyacinth isn't impressive with Mydei without Cyrene on the team, prioritizing Hyacinth is still a viable option due to all the things we mentioned before, with Cyrene's banner lasting longer and being due for her first rerun before Hyacinth will get a second rerun. Ideally, you plan out a way to get both of them if you really want to fully invest into your Mydei. Tribby is also on banner, but she is the least important piece of the puzzle here, since you can use RMC instead or get Saridra on a future banner. Not that I would really recommend getting Saridra just for Mydei, I would only get Saridra if you also have Finon or Anaxa, but basically, Tribby is the last priority for Mydei out of the current banners. Now, Mydei's Lightcone is also a consideration. While the team core of Cyrene and Hyacinth is the biggest upgrade for Mydei, their Lightcones aren't as important to the team as Mydei's Lightcone. Hyacinth's Lightcone gets a lot of glaze and hype, but that's mainly for casters and Evernight, or even Blade and Jingliu. The HP drain from Hyacinth's Lightcone isn't a lot, so for Mydei specifically, it doesn't translate to very much charge, as opposed to for characters like Evernight and Blade, who don't care about the amount of HP it drains, and only care about the fact that it drains HP even if it was only like 1 HP. All this to say, I would actually prioritize Hyacinth's Lightcone last for Mydei. Cyrene's Lightcone isn't the most impressive thing in the world either, but it is technically more buffing than Hyacinth's for Mydei specifically. Additionally, the Herda Shop Lightcone actually has some anti-synergy with Cyrene, where Cyrene stops being able to proc it after she's activated her ultimate, since she's now no longer able to use her skill and can only use her enhanced basic attack. Thus, you would want to use the Herda Shop Lightcone on Hyacinth, which would leave Cyrene without many options. Either way, none of these Lightcones are mandatory, of course, but if there was going to be an order in which you invest into them, then it would be Mydei's Lightcone, then Cyrene's Lightcone, then Hyacinth's Lightcone last. In terms of Eidolons, Mydei's E1 mainly helps him in Pure Fiction, and while that flexibility is nice, he still isn't going to be a Pure Fiction god by any means. Additionally, his E1 benefits even more from being paired with Cyrene due to her ability to automatically force him to use his enhanced skill, so Cyrene would still be the higher priority over Mydei's early Eidolons if you're considering them. As far as his build is concerned, a lot of Mydei mains are probably used to building Mydei with speed boots for the -1 setup with Sunday, where Mydei goes right before Sunday so that Sunday can immediately bring him back up to double his turns. With Cyrene, this playstyle obviously goes out the window. Mydei can still benefit from taking more turns since his own skill drains more of his HP, but it becomes a lot less important now since Cyrene is giving him on-demand enhanced skills. This means that forsaking speed on Mydei entirely and focusing solely on offensive stats with HP boots instead of speed boots becomes better for him in a lot of scenarios when paired with Cyrene. Slower Mydei also means Hyacinth has an easier time keeping his HP topped up, whereas she usually struggles to heal him enough when he's in a -1 setup with Sunday because of how much extra HP he's draining from himself from taking more turns. And, of course, HP boots results in more damage for Mydei. To get into Mydei's stat goals more specifically, Mydei wants at least 8,000 HP, since that's the threshold he needs to meet to max out his own self-crit rate buff. In non-Cyrene teams, Mydei would need to use an HP chest or orb in order to reach this, since he would generally use speed boots. Now that Cyrene teams allow him to use HP boots instead, it frees him up to use a crit damage chest and imaginary damage orb, resulting in higher damage overall now that it's easier to reach his HP threshold. No longer requiring speed substats also lets you focus mostly on offensive substats. Essentially, Mydei has gone from building fast to take more turns due to his need to rely on himself because he has no synergistic teammates, to now focusing solely on building for the biggest screenshot numbers possible on his enhanced skill, thanks to Cyrene opening up a team that actually synergizes with each other for Mydei. If you're happy with your current Mydei's performance, then you of course don't need to pull for a completely new team, but since Hoyo took Mydei in a direction where his best in slot team sort of did get a complete overhaul, these are the things you should consider prioritizing if you do really want to invest further in your Mydei and see the best performance possible for him. Obviously, at the end of the day, it always comes down to how you want to prioritize your pulls and what you think is worth it for your account. So that about summarizes how Mydei's team building and stat building has changed since his first release. After feeling like he was forgotten by Hoyo for a while, it's nice that it feels like Mydei has recently gotten a resurgence with his new team options. And while he still isn't the best DPS in the game by any means, if you just really love love Mydei, then Mydei has never felt stronger, albeit more expensive due to all the new 5 stars he wants on his team. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think about how Mydei's teams and builds have changed since his release? I'd love to hear from the dedicated Mydei mains. And be sure to like the video if you found it helpful or enjoyable at all. I actually have another one of these planned for Finon to line up with Finon's first rerun banner, so if you don't want to miss out on the updated Finon guide video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. With the iconic duo rerunning together, I thought it just felt right to release updated guides for the two of them together as well. Do note that Amphorius is at its end, and the next planet is right around the corner, so I do expect the meta to shift away from the Crisis heirs, but I still wanted to check in on what's changed with them for their dedicated fans who are still interested in their rerun banners. But only time can tell what the future holds for the Crisis heirs. So with all that said, until next time!